Overcoming creative blocks. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of Index Card Insights. This is episode 52. Hope you guys are doing amazing on this fine Tuesday evening. We're going to talk about overcoming creative blocks tonight. Um, what can I tell you guys? This is a subject that is near and dear to my heart because of the simple fact that I've been doing online work since 2010, since 2011. Um, and in that time, I've done a lot of content. Been doing a lot of content. I guess that's over a decade of content. I don't think I've ever not done free content. Yes, I sell paid content, of course, but I've always had some kind of free show going on, some kind of podcast, some kind of YouTube show, some kind of written thing going on. It's always been some kind of free stuff that I've been putting out there for people. And between all the free content and all the paid content, I get burned out sometimes. So, I'll be the first to admit it. I think that's human nature. And the funny thing about it is, you know, you'd think that in this time that we are in right now, especially right now with the advent of, artificial intelligence hitting the scene hot and heavy, and all the tricks and all the things that have been written about when it comes to content creation and overcoming creative blocks, you think that no one would ever have creative blocks. You think that no one would ever have a problem coming up with content in this day and age. But it's just not true. If you're out there and you create content, whether it's free content or paid content, then you'll know what I'm talking about. We all hit these kind of creative blocks sometimes where it seems like, everything's already been said before. Either you've already said it before or other people have already said it before. And even if you could put a new spin on it, you don't want to put a new spin on it because it's already been said before and you feel like you're just repeating yourself and none of it matters. You know what I mean? Now, this idea, right? It's honestly, it's a sign that you're burned out. That's what it's a sign. It's not necessarily a sign that there's nothing else to say. It's a sign that you're burned out specifically. And I know this because I've been there. So I'm going to give you 3 insights on this idea of overcoming a creative block. I can tell you that creative blocks have a lot to do with what's going on right up here. And they have a lot less to do with all the different opportunities and all the different things you could be talking about. Instead, it has a lot more to do with what's going on right up here. Okay, so let me give you 3 insights in it. It's something I've faced many times over the last decade. I'm somebody who every single month, I put out multiple pieces of free content. I've usually put out at least 1 or 2 pieces of paid content a month. So I'm very familiar with having to perform under pressure, put out a lot of content that can actually impact people, can actually help people. I'm really familiar with doing that. So I feel like I'm in a unique position to give you some insights on this. So let me give you 3 insights on this idea of overcoming creative blocks. Okay. The first insight I can give you is this: critical distance. Okay. Critical distance. A few podcasts ago, I told you that, Index Card Insights hasn't been as consistent as it should have been these last few weeks. Index Card Insights is supposed to be a 10-minute show, and it's supposed to be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday every single week. And I have been, kind of mixing it up. I've been doing it like Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I've been doing it Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. I've been kind of mixing it up, these last few weeks. It's been kind of inconsistent. It hasn't been as consistent as it should have been. Why? Right? Well, personally, when it comes to this particular show, Index Card Insights, I feel like I've been kind of experiencing this kind of creative block, right? And what I've been doing is I've been giving myself the permission to take critical distance from the show, right? Instead of forcing myself to come up with something on a Monday or forcing myself to come up with something on a Wednesday or a Tuesday, if it's not there, it's not there. I let it go and I come back to it tomorrow and see if I got something important to talk about tomorrow, right? So I'm giving myself critical distance. I'm giving myself permission to take the day off from that particular project and come back to it tomorrow. Now, this has been something that's been effective for me. Giving myself permission to walk away from things, knowing I'm going to come back to them like a calculated walk away. Okay, I'm going to walk away from this for today. It's not my job to worry about this today. I'll see what comes to me tomorrow. And if I can't figure it out tomorrow, I'll come to it the next day, right? And if it just goes on and on and on where I can't come up with something, then I got a real problem. Maybe I just don't like that project. Maybe I need to think about walking away from that project for good if I hate it that much. You know what I mean? But generally, when I give myself permission to walk away from something for the day and come back to it tomorrow, maybe 1 or 2 days sometimes, just give myself permission to walk away from the project, revisit it tomorrow. Usually something will come up. When it comes to creative blocks, usually I'll have an idea in the next day or so, but I got to give myself permission to take the pressure off, man. I got to give myself permission not to just force it, right? Because what happens is when I force it, I end up with a bad piece of content. I end up with a piece of content that nobody really cares about, that I don't really care about, and it doesn't really help anybody. It doesn't create any impact. You see, I'd rather have a show that's a little late, but it actually does something, than have a show that's on time that doesn't mean anything, right? Especially in this world of high technology, this world of artificial intelligence, where everybody can just bust out content at the drop of a hat so easily. And most of it's fairly mediocre and most of it's fairly derivative. Well, I don't want mediocre and I don't want derivative. I want unique insights, right? I can only get those by tapping into this brain, right? And thinking about it. So, you know, you can't you can't use AI for that. You want those unique original insights, you got to be able to tap into your brain. And sometimes that means taking some critical distance, right? I learned that from my mom, by the way. My mom taught me critical distance. It's been a really useful tool for me over these last 10, 12 years. So, what else can I tell you about overcoming creative blocks? The second thing I can tell you about overcoming creative blocks is learn something new, right? If you're experiencing a creative block and you're having trouble figuring out what to talk about, there's a lot of things you could talk about, but you feel like you've already talked about it all before and you got nothing new under the sun that you want to talk about. Sometimes it really helps me to learn something new, right? I'll give you an example, man. A few years ago, I was super burned out, man. I was trying to do, a paid product every single month. I was trying to launch every single month, and I was kind of going in between the cycle of like putting a cool idea together, creating the product, you know, putting all the sales material together, putting the funnel together, and then doing affiliate recruitment, launching it, and then like instantly flipping back around and repeating the cycle. And I was just locked into this crazy cycle, man. And at some point, man, my mind was just like, dude, I am freaking like, I'm blasted, dude. I don't even know what I would even talk about anymore. I have nothing significant to talk about. I have no 2 cents to add to anything, man. Nothing. I'm done on everything. I don't want to talk about none of this crap. No traffic, no list building, no content, none of this crap. I don't want to talk about none of this crap. Okay? I'm done. Right? And that's where I was, right? And what I had to do in that particular situation was I had to do this. I had to learn something new. And so what did I do? I was super burned out. I didn't want to do anything. So what I did was I gave myself permission just to take the week off. I'm taking the whole week off. I'm not messing with any internet marketing stuff. So here's what I did. I took the week off, and during that week, I listened to 100 episodes of this Frank Kern podcast. It was this old Frank Kern podcast. And I just started taking notes on every single episode. I started taking notes and I just allowed myself to be the student and not like the authoritative like person who's teaching people stuff. But instead, I just took a step back and I was the student and I was taking notes on the Frank Kern podcast. And that's all I did all week. That was my job all week long. I was just learning from this podcast, right? So I was learning new things, right? And believe it or not, it was kind of like a healing a healing situation where like I was like healing my brain, man, from just being overtaxed. And at the end of the week, man, I was like excited. I was ready to go. I had an idea. I was ready to go, and I think that was when I at the end of that week is when I created I came back and I did Email Fire, which did really good. I don't know how much it sold, but it did really good. It was a good launch, and people really liked it. And that was really kind of like the beginning of me creating newsletters. Email Fire. I think I did 3 Email Fires, and then later on, I came back in 2022, and I just did newsletters all year. People really liked the newsletters, but yeah, that whole newsletter thing, it wouldn't have happened without me just taking a week off and just like listening to Frank Kern podcasts and just like taking notes and stuff. Sounds crazy, but listen, if you just learn something new, just take some time away and learn something new, and you can come back with a fresh perspective. Now, it doesn't even have to be like learning something new about your thing, right? When I was listening to Frank Kern, a lot of what he was talking about on his podcast was paid advertising on Facebook and stuff. He wasn't really talking about, the stuff that I was dealing with, but it didn't really matter. Just learning something new in general, like it kind of like reactivated my brain again. And it was very helpful. And yeah, so highly recommend if you're having a block, take an afternoon and just read a book, learn something different, and maybe you'll have a new perspective. Read a chapter or two of something, watch a documentary about something, learn something new, and I guarantee you can start to form a new perspective about something, and that'll really help when it comes to like content blocks or creative blocks. So what's the third insight that I can give you? Okay. The third insight that I can give you on creative blocks is this one: shuffle the deck. Okay. When I say shuffle the deck, I mean sometimes you got to change things up. And a lot of times for me, like shuffling the deck means changing my environment. Um, I'm sitting at my desk right now at my home office, and sometimes I can't hardly stand to be sitting here at this computer. I can't even hardly take it. Matter of fact, I just wrapped up a brand new newsletter that I'm going to be publishing for my ECIC Discounts Club, and I don't even want to. I don't. It's all about content saturation, but I don't want to tell you what the title is because honestly, I don't even have a title for it yet. I got to figure out what the title is. I'll figure it out though. It's gonna be dropping for those guys in like 3 days. But I just wrapped it up today, and I tell you what, I couldn't write it from this computer, right? I wrote it, I dictated it on my phone. And what I did was I dictated it by email. I dictated it email by email on my phone, and I sent it to myself. So then what I do with that is I'll take those emails and I'll drop them into a Google Docs and I'll edit them, because right now it's a rough draft. It's a rough draft of the newsletter, but I'll edit it to make it a little bit nicer, a little bit more fancy, and then it'll be a wrap, dude. The thing will be done. It'll be great. But the funny thing is, most people don't think about like writing an email series or writing a book or writing anything like that, like by dictating it into their phone in email form. Most people don't think about it like that. I didn't used to write like that, and I don't always write like that. Sometimes I can write just sitting on my computer and it's cool, but sometimes I got to shuffle the deck. Sometimes I got to go to the park and I'll write directly into my phone. I'll just dictate into my phone. Sometimes I'll take like, this is an H1 Zoom. This is a little microphone. I'll show you guys. This is a little microphone. You can pick this up on Amazon. It's like less than $100, but this has really good sound quality. Sometimes I'll record directly into something like this. I can take this thing anywhere. I can go anywhere and record into this. Sometimes I'll record into this and then I'll dictate. I'll have it transcribed into written, and then I'll take that written transcription and I'll kind of convert that into like something that sounds better than like all the ums and and all that stuff. You can use a tool like Descript and you can take out all those extra filler words. But Anyways, I'll do it different ways. I'll do it different ways, and all that's just about shuffling the deck on content creation. I think for me, the main thing about content creation and overcoming creative blocks, the main thing is like for me, guys, I live by a motto, right? And I think all warriors live by a code. Okay. Now, for me, when it comes to business, my code is keep the projects moving forward. The projects must move forward. Okay. Now, maybe that means taking a day off, but that's calculated, right? You don't just take like infinite days off. You take a day off strategically because you know you're trying to get your head right again so you can move your project forward. It's always about moving your project forward all the time, no matter what. And that's the motto I live by. So, when it comes to like shuffling the deck, like why do I dictate into my phone, right? Why do I do it? Why don't I just wait until I feel like getting on the computer and typing again? Because I need to keep my projects moving forward, right? I'd rather just go talk on my phone and dictate it and I move my project forward. That makes me feel better if I move my project forward, right? It doesn't make me feel good for my projects not to move forward and everything just to be stagnating. That doesn't work for me. And I don't think that's a good way to handle, creative blocks. But yeah, whether it's, dictating into my phone, recording audio on an H1 Zoom or whatever, you can record audio on your phone too. Or, whatever it is, man, doing a stream like this or, just typing it out, just banging it out old school. I'll do it. I'll do whatever I got to do to push my projects forward. And, another thing I'll do sometimes, this is a little bonus one for you, is I'll break my projects up into smaller bits, right? Like if I have a set of like 20 emails I need to write, I'll break it up and I say, okay, I'm going to do this over a set of 4 days and I'll just write 5 emails a day, right? So then, like, I have to write 5 emails today. Okay. So do I just sit down on my computer and write 5 emails? Hell no. What I'll do is I'll write one email and I'll say, okay, I'll write one email. I'll take a break. I'll go do something else. I'll come back an hour and I'll write another email. And I'll just but over the course of the day, I'll get all 5 of those emails done. Right. And it won't be as big of a deal. Because for me, sometimes sitting here and writing 5 emails, dude, that feels overwhelming. And if it feels overwhelming to me, I'm gonna do one of two things, right? I'm gonna be like, I ain't doing this. I'm bouncing. I'm out. I'll do this later, or like I'll try to blast through it, and I won't do a good enough job, right? It'll just be kind of like too vanilla, too generic. It's not like impactful enough, right? I want all the emails to have impact, so I want them to matter. So it's better for me just to divide the job up into smaller tasks and do a really good job on this part. And then I'll come back in an hour, 2 hours, do the next part, come back in an hour, 2 hours, do the next part. Just divide it up like that. And that way I get quality work and the whole thing comes together at the end of the day. But yeah, dividing it up, that really does help. Anyways, all these are like little tricks that I've used to get over creative blocks. Hope it's been helpful to you. Hope this makes a difference to you. Listen, if you like this video, if you like this audio, if you're listening to this on podcast, by the way, guys, what you're watching, right? If you're watching this on Facebook live stream, if you're watching this on YouTube, but you do like podcasts, I want you to know this show, Index Card Insights, is on audio. It's distributed on Spotify. It's distributed on Apple Podcasts. It's distributed like everywhere you listen to podcasts. So if you like podcasts like me, I like podcasts. You can listen to this on podcasts. I'm an insomniac. I'll be up really late at night and I'll be listening to podcasts a lot of times. So if that's you, feel free to check out my show on podcast. Other than that, guys, I want to make sure to invite you, if you enjoyed this show, to epicconversions.com to pick up your free copy of 12 Secrets, right? It's all about artificial intelligence and how you can not only survive in this new era of high technology, but actually excel in this new era of high technology, achieve greatness in this new era of high technology. It's called 12 Secrets. It's absolutely free. It's a new report. And what can I tell you? If you don't already got your copy of 12 Secrets, you're not trying hard enough. That's the bottom line. There's only so much I can do. You know what I mean? Anyways, if you like this show, get over and get your free copy of 12 Secrets. If you don't like this show, I thank you for listening this long. And I'll see you in the next episode of Index Card Insights. Peace, guys.